Yes.
Just take your time.
Well, I think now is as good a time as any, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because you got that. It's a long one too. They put an extra long. You're good. You got just this one last car in. Yeah.
It gets to moving. We're doing 35, 45, 50, 55. The thing got up and went.
Yeah, it did.
I wasn't even pushing down all the way. My foot's just barely, like halfway, maybe. I've never even stepped on it. What was that?
There you are in your hooded moo-moo or whatever you like to call it.
My blanket hoodie.
Blanket hoodie.
The blanket.
I like it when it makes that shushing noise. I was diagnosed with colon cancer. I had been having issues with going to the bathroom, and it got to the point where I was having acid reflux, and I was thinking, like, what is it? Is it like backing up to the point where I'm having acid reflux, like it's not able to digest any more food? And that's when I started looking up symptoms, and I was like, holy crap, I could have cancer. And so I scheduled a colonoscopy, and sure enough, they found a mass in my sigmoid colon. The GI doctor who did the colonoscopy suggested that I go to Spokane. He knew of a surgeon. He was really good, and that's what I ended up doing. I was concerned about, who the surgeon would be and whether they were knowledgeable enough and that kind of thing. But it turned out pretty good, and he gave me his phone number and was really good about following up after the procedure. It was laparoscopic, so they went in, and they used cameras. It was like robotic. I don't know what that means. Robotic, laparoscopic, resection, removal, essentially. When the colonoscopy was done, they tattoo the colon so that they can find it when they do the surgery, and they always try to get enough lymph nodes so that they can do the pathology report to determine if there were any lymph nodes that were affected. And they pulled out 36 lymph nodes based on where the tattoos were on the mass itself, and then I think where each section of colon needed to be cut, and then they reattach the colon back together again. I think they took like 12 inches from me. And then you wake up in the hospital, they cut into your abdomen in 6 places, but it heals up and you can barely even tell. But the pathology report came back and no nodes were affected, so that would mean I'm like stage 2. But they did find things in the liver, so initially I was told stage 4. Well, when I was told stage 4, I went out and bought a motorhome, which is what I'm sitting in right now. It was expensive, but you know, I thought I was only going to have a certain period of time to live. And I figured this would be the best way to visit family and friends. I was going to sell my house, and I may have to quit my job. I didn't know. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just knew that the motorhome would be able to get me out and about and doing the things I wanted to be doing, to have experiences and things, like a mobile command center. Well, then they were going to do chemo first before surgery, but then they found out that the big spot on my liver was a hemangioma, which is like a birthmark or a cluster of blood vessels. Birthmarks are like clusters of blood vessels. They're kind of like that kind of a structure, and that's benign, that's not cancerous. There are still some other spots in my liver, but they could be the same thing, although one lit up minorly in the PET scan. You can have metastasis. Even with metastasis is when the cancer spreads to other parts of the body, and your prognosis goes way down. It's like 10% or 15% of people with stage 4 colon cancer will live beyond 5 years. And so if cancer had already spread to my liver, then that would be bad. And it still could have, but the fact that there were no nodes affected makes the probability a lot lower that it had metastasized. Well, with stage 2, you typically don't get chemo, although there are some high risk factors. So there's when they do the staging, when they do the pathology report, they look at a lot of things like how aggressive the cancer is, the grade, you know, whether it looks like other cells or if it's wildly different than other cells, and all those kinds of things. And I was pretty average for stage 2, except I had perineural invasion and lymphovascular invasion, and those qualified me to have the option to do chemo if I wanted to. So I chose to do chemo. I had my first one last Thursday, and it took about a week to recover from the first chemo, but it compounds on itself, so it kind of accumulates. And I extended my short term at work to find out what it's going to be like. If I can find a normal where I can go back to work, that would be preferable. And so I was stage 2, had the option for chemo, did my first chemo on Thursday of last week, and today is Saturday of the next week. So it's been a week and 2 days, and I finally feel a little better. I'm still a little nauseous, but for the most part, I have my strength back, and I'm not sleeping 12 hours a day anymore, and I don't have to take the anti-nausea medication. and it's been pleasant. But chemo is cumulative, and that means that it's likely to get worse. The neuropathy, you get like hand and foot neuropathy. We're out camping and I'm inside right now and the heat with the heater on, but when I go outside I do have issues keeping my feet warm. My hands, I have gloves, but the feet is just really hard. And even when I was sleeping last night, I could tell I was getting neuropathy in my feet from the cold. And it's really bad when you first do it. Like, I think it's the oxyplatin. When you get your IV, I believe I was getting oxyplatin in the IV, and then I have a pump that I have to wear for 46 hours that I take home with me, and that pumps the 5FU. But I think it's the oxyplatin that does the cold sensitivity. And it's still kind of with me, but it's not as bad. Like, it feels like little tiny electrical shocks when you touch anything cold, like a cold water bottle. And I'm scared it can also do your throat, so it can make your throat have that sensation too, and people can have a hard time swallowing or breathing if they drink cold water. And so I'm scared, so I have to pour cold water, because it's winter right now, so even tap water is pretty cold. And so I have to, and if I like wash my hands, I have to wait for the water to warm up, because the cold water will cause that same sensation. And I'm scared to take showers because as the water kind of dries off your skin, same thing. So it's weird, and it's really bad the first couple of days after the oxyplatin that you get in the cancer center. And it's weird being young. I'm 38 and I had colon cancer. I mean, it was removed, but it can come back. I think it's like a 20% chance of recurrence, 20-25. But that's just for stage 2A, which I believe I am. But I don't know, with my perineural invasion and my lymphovascular invasion, I don't know what it jumps up to as far as my prognosis, if it's worse. I did get a second opinion with the Seattle Cancer Center Alliance. They're #1 in Washington State for cancer centers. I think they're UW or affiliated with UW and the University of Washington. And so stage 2 is kind of hard. The thing I have a concern about with chemotherapy is it can shorten your life. I think radiation is worse if you have to have radiation, and I may have had to have radiation at some point with my liver. I don't know. They were going to resect it. They were going to cut, but because of where they couldn't do it laparoscopically when they originally thought the big one was cancer, but it turned out to be hemangioma. Originally they were going to have to cut me open and do it open because it was so close to one of the major arteries. So yeah, it was crazy. And as far as I know, I'm stage 2, even with those spots in the liver. They're too small to characterize, too small to biopsy, and I guess we'll find out what happens. It would be really rare for you to have no nodes affected, and they pulled out 36. So that's more than enough nodes to have pulled out to be confident that no nodes were affected. But perineural and the lymphovascular invasion means the cancer is trying to wrap itself around the nerves, wrap itself around the blood vessel. So it was almost to that point. It was also, I think it was stage 2A. There's a stage 2B and a stage 2C before you get to a stage 3. And because my tumor was, it had gone through the first layer of the intestine, but then there's like other layers, and it hadn't gotten to that point. It was I can't remember. It was the a staging. I think it was a T3 N0. We're hoping M0. It's likely M0. Like I said, probability of having no nodes. Anyways, other thing is when you think you're going to die, and I already have like an anxiety thing that, you know, I've just always dealt with, and I'm a pretty happy guy. I'm not necessarily depressed, but I it was such a, like, I was getting to the point where I was experiencing feelings of dread, and particularly if I was watching a movie, like I tried to watch that movie Don't Look Up. It has like with Leonardo DiCaprio, and I don't know, it was just something like that would be so disturbing to watch for me, because they think the world's going to end, in their reaction of like, is this a dream? Are we in a dream? Is this really happening? Like, that's kind of a lot of the emotions. And then everyone else is still going about their life like nothing's happening, right? But it's hard in your mind to merge those two concepts, that life can go on, but for you, your life could be ending. And it's just really hard to, and I needed help. So now I'm on an SSRI, Zoloft, you know, and hopefully that helps with the depression and anxiety, even though my prognosis got better when they came to the determination that maybe it hadn't metastasized, and then with the pathology report showing no nodes, it was like, oh, okay, good, maybe it's a good thing we didn't do chemo first and then surgery and, you know, cut into his liver type of thing. Having that pathology report kind of even makes it more. But anyways, I'm going off on that again. And now I don't think about cancer all the time. Now I can think about other things, but before it was really prevalent where I would just concentrate on the fact that I could die, and that's all I could concentrate on. And I was experiencing a lot of anxiety. And so I'll play some of that, and it might be disturbing, but just remember, like, that was a state of mind. It was fleeting. We all have those. And I guess I'll show you what that was like. And I'll also talk about my decision to buy this motorhome and some of my plans going forward. I'm going to be sick, but I'm going to make the best of it. So you're seeing the state of mind I was in before I got on to Zoloft, which is helping kind of balance me out. I bought, you know, ever since I was a kid, I would play with Legos, and I liked to build RVs and planes and boats. And the idea of being able to make a home that is mobile appealed to me. You start to think about the decisions that you make, and decisions that all the people you've wronged in your life. And luckily, I think I've been somewhat decent, but there are still some mistakes that I made. But hopefully I haven't hurt anyone too bad. But this motorhome, I worry about the gas mileage, the impact on the environment. But I am gonna get rid of my home, selling my house. It was just me living here, heating and cooling it. I do live in a place where it's hydroelectric power, so that's me mitigated. Although I guess they could sell that power somewhere else. But it was a big 2,200 square feet townhome, but I shared in a wall with another neighbor who's heating and cooling their place. And so my hope is that I was mitigating it by living here. But the problem is that I live next to a freeway. Nice view, but it's a freeway. And there's like 40,000 vehicles that go by my place every day. It's a ton of people. That's like a city of people who go past my house every day. And I'm downwind from that, and I'm within about 600 feet. So the noise pollution, all of, you know, the actual pollution, that all blows my way. Well, noise pollution doesn't blow, right? But the pollution does. And diesel, like in semi trucks and stuff, because it is, you know, it is a trucking route. And so there's a lot of like, they're just passing through town. They're not even stopping. And they've got heavy loads and they're discharging a ton of emissions. Not probably similar to my motorhome, although my motorhome is going to be like gross vehicle weight, 29,000 pounds. I mean, that's a lot. And so I don't know. I worry about that. My contribution, is it worth it? That, you know, if I get a car that gets like 30 to 40 miles per gallon, and then the motorhome, and then I average out the two gas mileages, maybe I won't be any bad off than I am right now. You know, I drive like essentially a Toyota Avalon. It's a Lexus ES 350, but it gets like, you know, 30. It can get up to 30 miles per gallon, but I probably average 24. And I could, if I find a vehicle with good enough gas mileage along with the motorhome, and if I were to average those two things out, I would probably be under, you know, or about at 24 miles per gallon. I could probably do that. So then it's just a matter of the heating and cooling. Well, during the winter, it can be very expensive, even though it's like 300 square feet or something, which is what I'd be heating and cooling in the motorhome. Cooling probably is more cost effective, but the heating can be expensive, and you use natural gas, or mine does have electric heat, but I think it's like the heat pump. It's like a heat pump system. And so, but if I live, you know, with other people and in the motorhome, mooch docking, or what they call it, where you park in their driveway, well then it's not so bad, right? Because I can reduce the heat inside or even turn it off and live with other people. And that's, you know, when I thought I was, and I could still, but die, I knew I live alone, didn't want to live alone anymore. Being alone in the last days of your life, that doesn't sound fun to me. But if I get to spend time with family and friends and maybe make new friends, just be out and not be comfortable. Like, being comfortable is how you end up, I think, having issues. But, you know, if I'm able to be around, I don't know. So I don't know. You know, my ideas, I don't know if they make sense. I don't know if this is the right plan, but it is a good time to sell your home, and that's what I want to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know anything else. going through all of your stuff and getting rid of things, that just, you come across things like yearbooks, pictures from college, and here I am thinking I'm going to die or something, or that I could die. And seeing those things just seems like such a waste, you know? You come across pictures and things, and you just think, what a waste. All that I've seen and experienced, it's just gonna end, you know? My grandma gave me this, it's a Christmas cactus. It's blooming right now. It's huge. I don't know how it got so big. But I've been waiting to live. I don't know why. Saving money, waiting until I reach this certain point in my career. I wanted to have experience. I felt like it took forever. And now I feel like I've accomplished all these things and then I get cancer. So maybe the reason I fight is because I'm ready to live. But if I don't get the opportunity, you know, this is cool. I bought it. It's supposed to rotate when it gets a little light, but right there it doesn't, it's not getting enough light. There's something, I guess, of all the things that I own, there are some things that I'm gonna have a hard time parting with. One of them is going to be my dining room set. I really like it. Whoever bought it before me paid like $12,000 at Ennis Furniture, and I got it for $750. To me, it's still worth $12,000, and it probably will be one day. It's like a Thomasville or something. But this is my office. This is where I spent all my time, a lot of my time. My trees are dying, my plants. Because I haven't been at home. I haven't been living here for the last couple months, 3 months. I've been packing things up. This is reality. This is how real it can be. I did not know I would ever experience this at this age. You know, I think sometimes my grandma's in her 90s. Holy, I can't even imagine living another 30 years, let alone another, what is that? 50. The COVID pandemic, it's been hard to travel, but I would like to do that as well, but I don't know if I will get to or not. This video is random, I get it, but it serves multiple purposes. I tried to put that out the trash can and they wouldn't take it. This is the car I was talking about. You might have seen it in other videos. But better place, doing good now. I didn't want to post this until I was in a good place, because man, these last few months, 4 months or whatever it's been, has been challenging. and I would most of the time was spent in a very dark place. But now things are better. And hey, I have this motorhome. Something I've always wanted. It won't solve my problems per se, but it will definitely enhance the time I have, and I really like it. So I'll do a tour of it. I'll probably be recording some trips and things. And the cancer thing, I'll talk about that intermittently. But it is my life, and this is for me. It's not for anyone else. So I make videos for me. Hopefully I'll get better at it. I am still posting videos of my trips that I took in 2019 and 2018. So I'll finish the 2019 of Uruguay, Argentina, and Ecuador, and then I'll start on the 2018 Colombia, and then the Colombia videos there's more of me talking, so hopefully it'll be easier to make a video. But it was done with my iPhone, so there's some stabilization issues. I wish I had my GoPro then. And then I'm thinking about getting a better camera going forward, and maybe like a drone would be cool. But I'm going to be probably investing some money into this motorhome, and I want to buy a side-by-side. And I might have to buy a new tow vehicle and get that all rigged up too, which can be expensive to do the flat towing and all of that. So we'll see what happens, and I'll also probably hopefully be going back to work soon, so we'll have to figure that out too. I may you know, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I have enough time to experience some things, because you never know what will happen in the future. Someone in my case, it's definitely a possibility that anything could happen. I'm not out of the woods, and I won't be for like 5 years before I can probably start breathing a sigh of relief, because that's about, you know, every year your chances go down a little bit, but until about 5 years it doesn't go down enough to really make you sleep well at night. So adios.